Electing a bloke because he's likeable is a luxury we can afford in easy times. Do you think that'll still be the case in 2025?
Look, I think times will be harder in 2025. I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope that Australians feel wealthy and secure. But I really do think that given what's going on in the world and what is trending internationally and even domestically, we're going to be facing difficult times on both fronts. That means we need to ask some pretty serious questions about whether or not Mr. Albanese is equipped for those challenges. By the time of the next election, we will have seen 3 years of what I expect will be ineffectual efforts on getting inflation under control. We will see a great step up in the activity of unions, and there's already, in the context of the Wages and Jobs Summit, been an indication that industry-wide bargaining, pattern bargaining, as it was known back in the 1970s, is back on the cards. And even the sensible heads of the Labor Party, like former Member of Parliament Michael Danby, are freely admitting that that's a huge step backwards economically for our country, because it's not a productive way to get the best out of people or out of workplaces. So if we've got all of that going on the economic front, that doesn't bode well. And if we have sabres rattling internationally, there's going to be, I think, a real question in the minds of Australians that says, well, hold on, there is another alternative, and it's a sensible guy, cool under pressure. Okay, he mightn't look like an oil painting, or he mightn't be necessarily the kind of guy I want to hang out with, but Mr. Dutton is somebody who is equipped to deal with hard times.
Well, there was a very interesting piece in the Nine newspapers yesterday about this by George Brandis, a former member of the Liberal government. He said, and I quote, "Dutton is a serious person with an impressive backstory. While he undoubtedly comes from the right wing of the Liberal Party, he is strategic, not ideological, a pragmatist, not a zealot. And as Malcolm Turnbull realised too late, he is cold-bloodedly ruthless. I doubt the public will ever warm to him. That will not bother him in the slightest," unquote. Amanda, do you agree that not being seen as a nice bloke is not necessarily a bad thing? And what sort of qualities does Peter Dutton would bring to it in 2025 anyway?
Look, I do think there is a desire for Australians to want to feel at home with their leaders. But again, that's a luxury that might not be top of the shopping list if we are facing a situation in 2025 that is much more difficult than we currently do. And I freely acknowledge that for many people, it's already pretty difficult. The opportunity, I think, that Australians have is to look at their track record. You know, they mightn't have liked someone like Campbell Newman as Premier, but then they switched to the person who was likeable but incompetent. It has sent our state in such a negative direction that it's going to take decades to recover.